Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to do our version of a witch bag or charm bag. They're actually quite versatile. Um, it's one of those things which is types of spell work which you intend to keep and grow. So as you build your bag, um, obviously you will program it, but you'll probably be reprogramming it, adding to it, sometimes even taking stuff away from it. They are a really versatile type of spell because you can use them for so many different things. Um, the first thing that you have to do, obviously, as with anything, is decide what you want it to do. So with a bag, what you're doing is you're creating a spell that is going to reinforce what you're telling it to reinforce in a specific place or area. So for example, if you wanted to use it to repel something, when you program it to repel, say, negative thoughts, then if you have this on you, it's going to help you repel those negative thoughts. If you want to use it to draw in something like luck, you wanted to create a luck charm bag, probably use a green one for that. Then you're going to carry it on you and draw in luck. You're going to create it with the intention of it bringing luck into your life. That doesn't mean to say that you have to always make them to wear. So one of the quite cool things about these sorts of things is that, of course, it's a tiny little bag. I mean, you know, it's easy to sneak into various different places. So if you wanted to leave a curse or something like that, you could bury this in someone's garden or hide it somewhere in someone's property. I have known people make these, not our clients of course, but I have known people to actually hide them in the cars, do destruction, attracting bags and hide them in people's cars, and yeah, well, you can imagine what might happen if you did that. Not telling you what to do, you know, morally of course, well, you know, I don't really get in too much about that. But just think a little bit more outside of the box. Most of the time when you see people make them, they're normally to draw in things like luck or money or love, that sort of thing. But actually, if you think about what it is, it's a spell that is designed to attract or repel something in a specific, in its energy field. So depending on how powerful technically you make it or how you design it to be worn or where you design to put it, it will depend on, you know, how what area this sort of spell would govern. Like I said before, most people make them to wear, so they'll keep them on their person in a bag, or you know, some people have them hanging up next to the bed, that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, you don't necessarily have to do that. I know that we made one once, or helped someone make one to consecrate a sacred space. So a group of people made a stone circle and they wanted to bury something in the middle of the stone circle to kind of give it some oomph. So we made a bag of power, which is essentially a witch bag, and we helped them craft it. They then buried it in the center of their magic circle. It didn't really have a specific intention other than a kind of battery to draw on to sort of get things moving within that circle. Of course, that was created by them with a little bit of input from us, but at the end of the day, it was for how they work. So although I personally probably wouldn't use it for that sort of thing, you could use it for that sort of thing. But anyway, I'm sidetracking now. So basically, obviously it is a bag, so you will need a bag. After you've decided on what your intention is, I suggest you pick a bag which, you know, kind of suits what you're wanting it to do. So I'm going to pick this blue one, which is made out of some of my old jeans, and a white cord. So a lot like the jar spell, we're going to program it is the first thing we're going to do. So we're going to take this, and I'm going to get some crystals because everyone seems to love crystals these days. I'm going to use two different types of crystal. first one I'm going to do is clear quartz, because you can get them pretty much anywhere, and I think of it in terms of these these clear quartz crystals are empty essentially. They're kind of like glass. They even look empty. So I think of it in terms of filling it up with my intention. So my bag is going to attract money, but also opportunity towards me. Okay, so it's going to be kind of a bag of prosperity, but it's more to open doorways up and allow that to happen easier. So it's not so much a quick money spell, it's something that's going to help me find and see opportunities, and those opportunities and people that are willing to give me opportunities, you know, come towards me. So I'm going to pop that in. That's the programming crystal. I'm going to magnify it with a piece of hematite. So hematite, don't know if you can see it, you probably can. We use this generally with every programming crystal that we use. It's just to kind of give it a little bit of oomph. And then what we want to do is we want to, a lot like the jar spell, we're going to put active ingredients into it. So we're going to want to put that kind of kick. And the best way to do that, I find, is to use natural ingredients such as herbs and various bits and pieces that you pick up on your travels. You should always use something and the things which feel right, not because a book tells you that that's the right correspondence to use. So I'm going to have a little look in my herb cabinet. I'm going to pick some bits and pieces that I think are going to work well. So in terms of, well, I mean, you can't really go wrong with Lucky Heather, can you? Orange peel. Right. Okay, so what we have is, I mean, I like to use rosemary for absolutely everything. I don't know why. It's one of the first herbs I think I ever really started to bond with. We always had rosemary growing in the garden. I don't know why it is with rosemary. I mean, it is a very versatile thing. And it can come in several different forms. There's various different types of rosemary plant. But for me, a lot of spells don't quite feel complete without rosemary in. I can't really explain it, it's just a personal preference. You might have personal preferences like that, and you know, it's fine to use that sort of thing. So I'm going to just put a little dash of rosemary inside the bag. I was drawn to, we've got two different types of heather. So Lucky Heather, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're thinking of opportunity, luck essentially is a big part of that. Correspondences for Lucky Heather, you know, you could do a lot worse than that. So I'm going to put a nice little pinch of each type in there. Now Jupiter is a planetary energy that has a lot of correspondences with building things, you know, business, also money. I always think of Jupiter in terms of opportunity that presents itself to make something truly great. So it kind of goes along the building. This is a Jupiterian incense that we have. It smells bloody gorgeous. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in. Now that's a mixture of a couple of different herbs and resins and things like that. We often keep some mixtures, generally for each of the planets and the elements inside the cabinet. a lot of the time, really, I could literally just fill a bag, you know, or even just put a couple of pinches, to be honest with you, of this in one of these bags, and that'd just about do it. But I thought, you know, technically, if I was to do it for myself, that's more than likely what I would do. However, clients kind of like a slightly more long drawn out method to their spell. They don't really feel it as much when you just say take some of this and put it in a bag. They want a kind of a process, and the process that we kind of teach is the process of sitting down, picking the bag, picking your intention, programming the quartz crystal with your intention, giving it a little bit of a kick, adding other things to kind of back that up. Energy which you're essentially drawing on to make it happen. Of course, you'll be putting your own energy into it as well, but I mean, if there's free energy out there, you might as well use it. Mercury is another one. Mercury is considered a bit of a trickster. The god of thieves, liars, and yeah, to be honest with you, a certain amount of commerce, so business and stuff like that. I mean, let's be fair, I would rather have him working with me than against me. So I am going to put Mercury in. You will find with a lot of correspondences with magic, when it comes to money drawing, luck, building things, that Mercury and Jupiter can come up quite a lot. I wouldn't say use it just because of that, but personally I have to say, you know, I do agree with that. The energy that is in both Jupiter and Mercury, that kind of energy, I've never found it to be a problem when it comes to building things or making money or, you know, having that sort of thing drawn towards me. And a lot of opportunities that open up can come through communication, not just you talking to new people, but other people talking to people they know about you. And Mercury, you know, Hermes, essentially the god of communication, again, a good energy to put in there. The last thing I'm going to put in is orange. This is dried orange peel. There we go. That's just to kind of finish it off. In all honesty, I don't know why I picked orange, it just kind of felt right. Sometimes things like that do tend to just happen. I mean, the correspondence for Mercury very often is associated with the colour orange, and I was just drawn towards the kind of rusty colour orange as opposed to the fact that it was orange. I just felt that it needed to go in there, and it kind of feels and looks right. At every stage when we put ingredients and things like that, I like to get people to smell the bag that they've made. It should smell correct. I can't tell you what the correct smell should be. It's just a case of you shouldn't really be creating a bag that is supposed to draw something that you want towards you and it stink nasty, basically. If you're using it as a not particularly nice spell, so if you were going to do something and create some sort of destructive spell or something to attract horrible entities and energies towards something, yeah, I could understand if that bag stank nasty. But, you know, a bag like this, I wouldn't expect it to smell bad. So, you know, I quite like the smell of this. Obviously, I picked the ingredients. But what we're going to do now is we're going to add some more. Now, we use quite a lot of essential oils with our practice. So, I've accumulated a fair amount of essential oils. Because of that, I always like to add some in. So, we have got quite a lot, as you've probably seen from the other video that we made on jar spells. But things that I'm going to be drawn to, again, we have a little bit of rosemary, we have cinnamon, frankincense, and sandalwood. I'm just going to add probably 1 or 2 drops of each. Like, essential oils are super potent, so you need to be really careful how much you're adding. Literally just 1 drop is going to be enough to really make it smell. Also, you need to be careful not to get stuff like that on your hands. Now, we use doTERRA, which is a third-party tested oil, so it is organic. There is quite a lot of fraud when it comes to aromatherapy and essential oils. A lot of the oils that people use and buy that are cheap have a tendency to not actually be authentic. They tend to be, I wouldn't like to say mass produced, they're not organic, so they're basically made in a lab. My mind's gone blank, I don't know what to say. So sandalwood, put a bit of sandalwood in. Some of the oils come out quite easy and some are a little bit more resin, so it can take a little while for them to come out. Like this sandalwood, it's a lot more resiny. And then the last one is going to be frankincense. Oil of Kings. I don't really want to put too much stuff in, so for me that feels about right. Again, I'm not really going to tell you what you should or shouldn't put in. The last thing I like to get people to do is to sum up their work. And again, we have an abundance of crystals. I mean, we run a witchcraft shop, for crying out loud. People love crystals. So if you have a big crystal collection, or you want to fancy going out for a walk and picking a rock or a stone or something like that, I normally get people to visually sum up their work that they've done. So pick a crystal that really makes you feel, yeah, that needs to go in. That kind of sums up what I'm wanting. So I like to get people to dig in to various little bags and things like that. You don't want one too big. That one's probably going to be a little bit too big. The chances are, if I pick that one, it's not going to fit in the bag. So I just want a small little stone that is kind of going to sum up what I intend to do, what I'm wanting to do. So I'm not just going to pick the first one. I'm going to have a little think about it. I'm going to have a little look through. But essentially, something should jump out. Nothing's quite jumping out. Oh, okay, that one is jumping out. That appears to be actually a type of bloodstone, but it is a lot different to the bloodstones which we have. In fact, I'm not entirely sure where that one might have come from, but I do like it. You might as well pick something that you like. So once that's gone in, the last thing I'm going to do is obviously smell it, and it smells right. It smells like I think that it should. If at any point you wanted to add any more bits and pieces, you could always add something else. You could even write your intention down if you want, instead of using that original crystal, or even with that original crystal. The whole point of this is it's got to be organic, and it's got to be up to you what you want to put in it. This is a very, very, very loose method for doing this kind of thing. The point is that the majority of it needs to come from you. It is you and your intention and your power that's going to be feeding this bag. Yes, we've added herbs and bits and pieces to give it an extra kick, but at the end of the day, this has got to come from you. It hasn't got to come from me. It hasn't got to come from a book. It hasn't got to come from a blog or some other, YouTube video or something. It needs to come to you. One of the reasons why we don't really like people, and we get asked to do them all the time, spell kits and things like that, is that most of the spell kits people do, they put together, never having met the person that's going to be using it. I would much rather you pick all of the ingredients and me kind of tweak bits and pieces and make you think maybe more in depth about certain things, actually tell you point blank, you need this, 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 and this. This is pure magic. Now, some things when it comes to herbal medicine and that sort of thing, if you're adding things like that into your practice, yes, there's a very strict science to it. You know, you're not going to be putting something on your skin that is, you know, dangerous, or hazardous or corrosive. So you can understand from that perspective that yes, there are certain rules that you need to abide by. With this, the rules really are what you feel is necessary and that you have a bond with. I wouldn't recommend putting things into something like this that you don't really know, feel, and understand. I mean, it goes down to, you know, if you wanted to go and take a walk somewhere, you could pick a plant and put it in because you think, oh, I think I might as well just put some of that plant in. But if that plant's poison, if you went and picked some foxglove or something like that, you could end up doing yourself a bit more of an injury than you perhaps originally thought. So generally speaking, the ingredients you should have some sort of bond with, you should know a little bit about. But yeah, I mean, it is really as simple as that. So these are drawstring bags, so literally all we tend to do is just pull them tight, loop them. If I do that in front of the camera, so pull it tight, loop it round, and then pop them through like that. And then I'm going to pull like that. And then it's tight like that. You can tie the end as well. I like to keep them loose, but if you wanted to, you could tie the end round and then you'd have literally a little string, so you could hang it on something. You could obviously tie it to something, so if you wanted to tie it to your bike or tie it to the mirror inside your car or something like that, you could do. This one's just going to be carried in my jacket pocket. But again, smells really good. One thing about these, again, I know I've mentioned it, but this is a spell that grows. Because it grows, and because many people in fact even believe that to a certain extent it's alive, if you look at gree bags and things like that, it's thought that there is a spirit that grows inside the bag, that it's kind of alive. And like a lot of living things, it will have a habit of shitting itself from time to time. This little top, you know, bag top, you know, is not 100% sealed, and you've got bits and pieces like this, you know, that are going to be getting tossed around inside your bag or wherever you're keeping it. Things are going to fall out. I like to think of it in terms of actual excrement. So essentially it is like the little bag is shitting itself. It's getting rid of the stuff that it's used up, and you need to replace that with something. So when you find that stuff does fall out of it, or the bag starts to get frayed and that sort of thing, you need to think of it in terms of an ongoing project. It's not done and that's it. You're going to continue to interact with it. You're going to repair your bag. If you want to add bits and pieces, you can always open it up and add bits and pieces. If you want to add some extra herbs and things like that, if you go along out one day and you see a little stone or a rock or something that reminds you of what you're trying to do, then get it. If you can get it, take a picture of it or draw a picture of it and then put it in the bag. It's something that you're interacting with. This is designed to interact with my aura and draw things towards me. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to keep it in my jacket pocket. But it really depends on what you are using your bag for. If you were going to create one and give it to someone else, then you're probably going to be, in all honesty, mixing your personal feelings with what you think someone else might want. So it's going to be a little difficult to, you know, create something that that person is going to be 100% happy with, but at the end of the day, you're putting the magic into it. It's going to be, let's be fair, 90% of it your power and your preference. Obviously, if I was going to make this for someone and I knew that person liked lavender, for example, I might put lavender herbs inside it and I might put lavender essential oil in it so it smelled more lavendery. They'd probably like that if they like lavender, but personally I'm not really a fan of lavender. Anyway, this is done. So now all the